Welcome into a special Prep Insider edition of Roundtable discussion on the biggest game of the year so far. Pine Forest is going to PHS, a District 1 6A matchup. Bill, we kind of been looking at this game, I guess, way back in August as this potentially be the district championship game. Now that it's finally here, what do you think?
Well, you know, Brady, the biggest thing is, wow, what a scene this is. You're going to have a situation tomorrow night where potentially one or maybe two good football teams aren't going to make the playoffs as the result of this game. And when they set this district up, and we were looking at this back in the spring, we thought, wow, this is going to be a monster district with really good football programs and really good coaches. And somebody or maybe a couple teams aren't going to get into the postseason, and that's what's at stake tomorrow. And when you, like you said, this is a wonderful matchup. Two of the programs that year after year in this community have been excellent.
Yeah.
Had great coaches, great players, and they've produced consistent winning seasons every year. And man, wow, what a great game this is going to be tomorrow night at PHS.
Yeah, and speaking of great players, you know, obviously both sides of the field are going to be littered with potential and future Division I and college football players. Bob, just talk a little bit about the matchup in general and kind of how you see that whole thing playing out.
Well, the offensive matchup is really going to be interesting. PHS, which has suffered a couple, really strong injuries with super seniors, LeDerick Black, wide receiver, Jimmy Threet, running back, both out ACLs. They keep chugging along, and Jalen Spencer, their multi-talented quarterback, is obviously the guy that's stirring the drink, the straw that's stirring the drink for the Tigers. He has almost 1,200 yards of total offense, passing and rushing, has piled up 10 touchdowns combined both ways, and just a real special talent. South Florida commit, that was before the season. Interesting, though, PHS comes into this allowing like 13.7 points per game defensively.
Yeah.
That's a trademark with Mike Bennett and the Tigers. Have they seen since the season opener, the loss to Tallahassee Lincoln, an offense, or at least the potential fireworks that Pine Forest is going to bring to this game? Rashad Lee leads the area in total offense, over 1,300 yards, 9 combined touchdowns. Lorenzo Long, great running back, and future Division I prospect for Pine Forest next year. Shaquille Purifoy, arguably our most dynamic wide receiver. I mean, it's there. It's there for the Pine Forest to put some points on the board. Now they have to overcome the loss, due to suspension of their star tackle, Colby Watson, a big-time Division I prospect. But the fireworks, the potential is there. I mean, there's talented athletes on this field, and it's going to be. I think Pine Forest has to score points. I don't think this can be a low-scoring game for them to win, because I think that just plays into PHS and sets up Jalen Spencer that one or two special plays that he's been able to make.
Yeah, and speaking of Jalen Spencer, you kind of mentioned Shaquille Purifoy, at receiver, and Jalen Spencer at cornerback. That's going to be a great matchup to watch all night long, as will Rashad Lee against that great defensive line for PHS, which is pretty good as far as the read. Just kind of set the scene real quick. PHS is undefeated. Pine Forest, Milton, Pace all have one loss. Obviously, if PHS wins this game, they take a big step towards a district championship, which would be something because, a lot of people kind of question whether or not PHS can play with the big boys. Well, they play with the big boys all year, and right now they're doing a great job. But like I said, if PHS wins this one, it's a huge victory for PHS, gives them a big advantage. If Pine Forest wins, we're potentially looking at a four-way tie for this district. So needless to say, Bill, this is a huge game with lots of playoff implications, lots of district championship implications on the line tonight.
Well, and the thing is, wow, imagine that scenario if we do have a tie, we have a shootout, and all the things that go into that. But, Brady, I think the thing that's amazing, you got you mentioned about PHS. I think all of us feel like they've had great talent year after year. I don't view them as a small school playing against a 6A or 7A school. I mean, they year after year they're fantastic, and they've got a lot of great players. One thing about games like this, quarterback play is so essential. I mean, who's going to manage the game the best? Who's not going to make mistakes? And the kids are going to be nervous. You couldn't help to be a little nervous playing in a game like this big. They know what's at stake. So who's going to manage the game better at quarterback. The kicking game obviously could play a factor in this. You might see a punt return or a kickoff return. I think both teams probably worked hard at maybe trying to spring something on special teams. And if you're ever going to throw in a new wrinkle to your offense or your defense, this is the game to do it. If you're ever going to put in a special package, a special formation, something unique that the team hasn't seen, you're going to do it for this game. So both coaches obviously are great coaches. They're capable of that. I think for high school football, the biggest thing is the area wins tomorrow night because this is just a great matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Bob, how do you see it? Real quick, we'll go through the thing, just maybe look at the matchup, give your prediction. You don't have to give a score. Maybe just kind of who you feel right now, who you feeling.
Something interesting, going back through with the help of Rick Fountain's new book that came out, that I think they're going to be. Are they going to be bringing that up at the game?
Rick will be there. There's a big reception. We haven't even mentioned they're honoring former players, and there's going to be Rick will be there with his new book.
Oh, and it's a fantastic book. If you're into PHS football, Pine Forest fans might not be flocking to Jim Scoggins Stadium for the book, but it's a fantastic piece of work on the history of the PHS program, which is the oldest in Florida. As interesting as that is, a couple things that when we were digging around that book last night in the office. The most losses for PHS against the program in its history, Pine Forest, and it has one of the few losing records in PHS history, is against Pine Forest, 12-22 overall. I like that little piece of history. If you take the big boy, little boy thing with PHS against the teams that are in 1-6A, and counting its 3-0 record in district this year against teams in that district. Go back the two previous seasons when PHS was, just a 3A powerhouse, won the state championship in 2009. They're on a 10-game winning streak. The last loss, the season opener in 2009, Pine Forest, 6-3. I'm going to, if you're asking for a prediction, I really like what Pine Forest brings to the table. I wish Kobe Watson were in this game. That's a huge loss for Jerry Pollard and the Eagles. The best player on this field, despite all the potential Division I players that are going to be on here, and Rashad Lee, Shaquille Purifoy, Lorenzo Long, fantastic players. The best player on this field is Jalen Spencer in high school football, and he plays quarterback. In high school football, I always look at special quarterbacks. He's athletic. And how good is he? He's going to switch over to cornerback, which is going to be his college position, and he's going to go head-to-head with Purifoy. Fantastic. But I like the best player. This is my opinion. I like to pick the quarterback, most athletic, best athlete. When you put that all into one package at that position, I'm going PHS. I think they're going to pull away, get a defensive score late. Pine Forest has had a habit of turning the ball over this season. I think they're going to pull away somewhere like a 23-13. I don't think it's going to be they're going to have to score a little bit. I don't think Pine Forest can get into the 20s against PHS.
Yeah, definitely. And I think either way, like you said, I think fans are going to be treated to a special occasion tonight, a big game, a playoff atmosphere type game, and it's something that I think a lot of people down the road are going to remember this type of game right there.
Right, and then like Bob said, when you got a great quarterback, you always got to swing the edge to that position. But the other thing, Brady, I can't get out of my head a little bit is that Pensacola High handled Pace pretty good, and Pace beat Pine Forest. I know it's really hard to go, oftentimes these comparative games, things are different, but that's why, to me, looking at this, I'd like PHS to win this game because of the head-to-head against a really quality opponent, against a team that might make the playoffs. I give PHS the edge, plus they're playing at home. I think kids are a lot more confident on their home field, no matter what level it is, and I think that'll play a factor. So I'll go a close scoring game, but I'll give PHS the edge. Of course, we're giving Jerry Pollard all sorts of motivation.
Exactly.
But I'm going to go with PHS winning 27-20, and you all will be there. So if we're wrong, Jerry will have plenty of ammunition for you guys.
Yeah, you'll never underestimate a team that has his back against the wall, which Pine Forest clearly does. If they lose this game, uphill battle for them as far as making the state playoffs. So that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Roundtable discussion at the Prep Insider at PNJ.com. We're going to give Bill Vilona the last word.
Okay. A ticket to this game costs $6. it's a great bargain. You're going to see one heck of a high school football game. I would encourage anyone that loves football, anyone that really appreciates high school football, to go to this game. It's at Jim Scoggins Stadium. It's a terrific venue. It's going to be a wonderful scene there, but this is going to be a terrific football game. And if you want to see one game between two great teams, two of the best in Northwest Florida, I'd say go to this game tomorrow night. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. I think there'll be plenty of emotion on both sides. I know you'll get your money's worth. So please support high school football and go to this game.